Sweet sourdough. Have you ever heard of sweet sourdough? Well, it's also called Amish friendship bread starter or Herman. You might be more familiar with those. That is what I am going to do today as part of Fermented February. Fermented February is a great collaboration put on by Anna at Fermented Homestead. And there have been amazing videos all month. I mean, so many wonderful things that you can ferment and great directions. I have learned so much and get new ideas, and I hope that you have too. So my name is Renee, and this is Pike Creek Farm. And if this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. And I appreciate Anna organizing Fermented February and allowing me to be part of it. She has a great playlist, an amazing variety of channels. It makes it so cool. And on February 29th, she is going to have a giveaway. She's been having them all month long too on Mondays, but we're past the last Monday. So make sure to tune in on the 29th. And go back and watch all the videos and put a comment, and you can be eligible for the drawings because they're going to be drawn from the comments. So, like I said, what I'm doing is a sweet sourdough. I did Herman back in the 70s. My mom got some from a neighbor because if you know about Herman or Amish friendship bread, you get a lot of it and you kind of share it. So I decided to do it again. I remembered it and I started doing some research, and I found that it isn't just about the cinnamon bread anymore. It's not just about the sweet breads. That this stuff, it smells so good, can be used to make English muffins and biscotti and sandwich bread. And today what I'm gonna do is artisan no knead bread. Now I do have a video on how to start your starter, and I will try and put that up here so you can refer back to it. You don't capture the yeast for this. It does start with a little bit of yeast and your flour, your sugar, and milk. And then that's day 1. And then on day 6, you add a cup of flour, sugar, and milk. And then on day 10, you add more, and then you can divide it up, you can bake it, you can share it. Let's get started making an artisan no knead bread using our sweet sourdough. This is a couple hours after I fed it. It's very bubbly. It has grown so much, so I need to use some of this up. So the first thing we're going to do is make artisan bread. Okay, I am pretty surprised. This is after feeding it the cup and a half, and it is just very bubbly. So we're going to get to baking. The recipe for this no knead bread using the friendship starter is very simple and very basic ingredient. You want it to be bubbly starter. So I just fed this morning, and I showed you how bubbly it is. And I gotta do some baking with this because there's a lot of it. I do have a friend at church that wants a cup of it, so I'll be packaging some up for her and asking if anyone else if they want some. But there's 2 things I want to make. I want to make a loaf of this bread. I just love it, and it stays. What we don't eat like that first day, I slice up and I put in the freezer, in a freezer bag, and take out a slice at a time, and it works perfect. So there we go, 1 cup gone. Let me get this spoon out, put that away. But this starter has become so bubbly and so active. I just am amazed. I've been using this bowl. I don't put the lid on tight, And I keep scraping it down, and I keep it up in my cabinet or near my stove. When it was really cold a week ago, I started putting it on the counter that faces towards our wood burner. And I don't know if that's what made it just become so happy. Now, back to, we have 1 cup in here. We need 1 1/3 cup of warm water. And you want it between, like I would say, 103 and under 110. And I use a thermometer to make sure. I just don't trust my instinct. And then we need 5 cups of flour. You can use either all-purpose or bread flour or a combination. I'm using all-purpose flour today, but you can use bread flour. It's what it actually recommends. So 1. 2. 5. And the recipe that I'm taking from did it with cups and not grams. So that's what I'm using. And I need to fill my salt container. And if you don't add salt to your bread, it will taste very bland. One tablespoon of salt. Now we're just going to combine this we're going to combine this until it turns into a nice ball. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be shaggy, sticky. You might need up to a 1/4 cup of more water. Scrape the edges. The bottom still had some wet stuff, so I'm getting that blended in. Well, there we go. That's it. The thing about this recipe is it's just time. So I'm going to cover with plastic wrap. I'm going to set it on my counter where it's warm. So it's not too cold out today. So pretty much any place in the kitchen is warm. I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour, and then we'll come back and fold and kind of stretch. And we will do that 2 more times, a total of 3 times. And then we put it in the fridge for 8 hours at least to 48 hours.
It is the next day and I'm pulling it out of the fridge, and it is very firm, and I'm going to make it into a ball on some floured surface, and look how nice and smooth it is now. And now we need to let it rest.
Now I put parchment paper in the Dutch oven, and I put a little bit of cornmeal on the bottom, and I'm gonna put the lid on, and I have it on my stove. The oven's been going, cooking a roast, so I'm gonna let this sit for 3 hours. So I have my oven on, preheating, well no, not, I have my oven on at 500. This is to do that an hour before. And I have the rack lowered in my oven so that this will be in the middle. And here's what it looks like so far. It's not very high. It's not real high, but it wasn't last time either, so fingers crossed. This is still a new process for me, making this kind of bread from my starter. And I will lower the heat to 450 and then put it in, and it's like 35 minutes, and I forget the temperature. I will give you all that information. Oh, I also have to dust the top of this and score it, and then put it in to cook, so to bake. But I'll have all this information for you, and hopefully everything works out. If not, I will try again, because bread making is just practice, you know? So doing anything that's fermented like this is such a cool challenge, and the end result is so awesome when it turns out. I was so surprised last time, and I hope it turns out this time, and I keep improving. Just a few minutes until it goes in there. I will turn it down to 450. Going to dust the top with flour. I need to try this next time with bread flour, because I've done it both times with all purpose, and it's worked great. But I'm interested to see. And this is lamb, however you say that, to cut the top. And you can do fancy designs or whatever you want. I never know how deep to do this. I'm gonna put the lid back on, and this is ready. Timer went off. I'm gonna reduce the temperature to 450. And this is gonna go in for 35 to 45 minutes. Then we take the lid off to let it get nice and brown. 35 minutes. I'm gonna put it in for 5 more. Then we will take the lid off and let it bake for 5 to 15 more minutes till it's golden brown. Okay, it's looking a little browned. I should have cut deeper to get more deep finished lines. I'm gonna put this back in and set it for 7 minutes, and I will check. You want it to sound hollow. I think it should be a little browner, but we're gonna take the temperature. Should be at least 210. And if you don't have a thermometer, you can just go by the tapping. So it was slowing down. I'm going to put it in for 4 more minutes with the lid off.
Perfect. That's the color I was looking for. Nice hollow tap. Now to leave this to cool for several hours. You want it thoroughly cool. This is the next day, the first cut in, and it's nice and crisp on the outside with that chewy texture, and the inside is soft with lots of the air pockets. Just perfect. And now to have breakfast with it. Lightly toasted, I put some avocado on it, everything but the bagel seasoning, and of course our own eggs.
So that's how you make it. It's pretty simple, and it's not different really than traditional sourdough when you get to the actual dough part of it. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing the difference between this and traditional sourdough, but how it's also not different in other ways, how you can still make delicious bread for your family along with some delicious sweet treats. And thank you, Anna, so much for including me in this collaboration. It is such a wonderful collaboration, and Anna does an amazing job with it. So make sure to watch all the videos. And if you want to see more videos on how I use this starter and on canning and baking and cooking, subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here. So see you next time at Pike Creek Farm.